Good morning everyone, this is Savita Patil and today I am going to show you jam tarts using the short crust pastry. Pastry, this word comes from a French word called pâté, which means paste, and any pastry consists of three main ingredients, that is flour, fat and water. Other ingredients will vary depending on the type of pastry. The pastry can be baked with filling or without filling. It can be sweet or savory. The short crust pastry is one of the most basic pastry and the oldest pastry. Easier to make, that is why it is very commonly made everywhere. Today, the product that we are going to make is jam tarts. The very important characteristic of this pastry is very fragile and very crumbly because of the high percentage of butter. The method that we are using today is called as rubbing method or sanding method. The ingredients for the pastry are flour, chilled butter, sugar, ice cold water and jam. Since we are making jam tart, we are using the jam. This is 80 grams of flour which is sieved. The sieving is very important step to remove the impurities, and it also incorporates a little bit of air when you are sieving. This is weighed and sieved flour and absolutely chilled butter. Chilled butter is very important here because we are going to, as I told you, the method is called as sanding method. So we are going to crumble up the butter into very fine particles, and for that you need the chilled butter. If you take normal room temperature butter, then the butter can become very soft and then it will not give you the desired consistency. Since this is a sweet product, we are going to add a little bit of sugar, just a heaped teaspoon of sugar in this. If you are making any savory product, then you can instead of sugar you can add salt in it. Now we are going to start with the sanding method. First you toss the butter, cover the butter with the flour, and you start cutting the butter with the scraper. You can use a metal scraper or you can use a stainless steel scraper. Try avoid using hands because the body heat can soften the butter and we will not get the breadcrumb consistency. Now the purpose behind making this breadcrumb consistency is the flour gets coated with a very thin layer of fat, and which reduces the water absorption power of the flour. And when water absorption is lesser, then gluten is also developed in less quantity. Because if there is too much gluten in this pastry, if too much gluten is developed in this particular pastry, then the pastry becomes hard and chewy. Also, when you are baking the pastry can shrink. One more point to be remembered is whenever you are cutting the butter with the scraper, always make sure you are placing it on a duster or a kitchen cloth to, just to reduce the noise that will be made with the chopping of the butter. Now slowly, if you can see it, the butter is getting cut into finer particles. We need to cut it more. As I said, the texture should be like sand or breadcrumbs. So you keep on cutting it till you reach the desired consistency. Towards the end, once the butter is totally chopped, we are going to run it through the fingertips just to ensure that there are no big lumps in the mixture, big lumps of butter in the mixture. See, if you can see, the butter is getting cut into more and more finer particles. So it's very important to have the chilled butter. If the butter is not chilled, then you're not going to get this consistency. So that's very, very important part. And in bakery, the weighing and measuring is another important aspect, because precision is very, very important part of baking. So always weigh the larger quantity of ingredients on a weighing scale and measure the smaller quantity with the measuring spoons. And the liquids will be measured with a measuring jar. Now you can see that most of the butter is broken. What I'm going to do next is I'm just going to run it through the fingertips just to ensure that there are no big lumps of butter. This you have to be very gentle. If you can see the finger movements, I'm just gently passing it through the fingertips. Butter or any kind of fat is called as shortening. Shortening means it shortens the gluten strands. That is why when you want a crumbly texture, or that is the biscuit like texture, you always use the fat in higher quantity, and that will ensure that there is less gluten development. Now our sandy texture is ready. So we are going to use ice cold water to bind this dough. Remember, I am just going to bind the dough and not knead it, because if I knead it or if I put too much of pressure, then the gluten will start developing. First I'm going to put approximately 2 tablespoons of chilled water, ice water, and rather than mixing it with hand, it would be better if it is a smaller quantity that you use a palette knife to mix it. So that will again avoid the contact of the, it will avoid the body contact with the pastry, and the pastry will, the butter will not melt. Now as you can see, it is hydrated, the flour is hydrated, and I can just quickly, as I said, bind it, not knead it. So bind it very gently by just pressing it a little bit, and then since we have handled the butter and we have also used our hand, now the butter has softened. So before rolling the pastry, I'm going to rest it in the refrigerator for a while till it becomes cold. You have to make sure it is only cold and it is not hard, because if the pastry hardens, then it will break into pieces and we will not be able to roll it smoothly. In case if you end up keeping it for a longer time and the pastry gets too hard, in that case what you can do is you can thaw the pastry, keep it out for a while, and then you can again see, now you can then roll the pastry. Our pastry is ready now. The dough is ready of short crust pastry, and I am going to wrap it in a butter paper, or you can also use a cling film and rest it in the refrigerator for some time. Our short crust pastry dough is nice and cold. Now it's ready to be rolled. So when we want to roll the dough, first we are going to take some flour and dust the surface on which we are going to roll the dough, because that will avoid sticking of the dough. Now when you're dusting the flour, always remember you take very little flour and throw it in an angle, so that you don't have a very thick layer of flour. If you put too much of flour, the flour tend to gets into the pastry, and then that can harden the final product. So we're going to use a heavy and bigger rolling pin. Always remember this, for rolling any pastries we use bigger rolling pins, because the bigger rolling pins, when you're using a bigger rolling pin, you don't have to put too much of pressure on the dough, and the dough gets rolled very easily without melting the fat, as well as without handling too much. When we are rolling this particular dough, our aim is not to allow the fat to melt. So make sure that you do not roll the dough back and forth like this, but you roll it in one way direction only. So you lift your rolling pin. When you want to roll it back, you pull it backward this way. Okay, always remember this. To avoid the friction will melt the fat. That is why, and every time you're rolling the dough, try to roll it in a rectangle, so you can control the shape by using a dough scraper. When you're rolling the dough, make sure it is not sticking down, so you can use a palette knife to loosen the dough, and you can dust more if required. But as I mentioned earlier, do not overdust it. When you roll the dough, there are certain precautions which you need to take. As I said or mentioned earlier, one-way rolling, and second precaution is you have to make sure that the dough is rolled evenly. When the dough is a little longer, you can just roll it on the rolling pin, take it up like this, and then change the side and roll it to an even thickness. Try to take out maximum number of portion in one rolling. That will avoid the excessive handling. If you handle it excessively, then the fat will melt, as well as I mentioned earlier also, gluten will start developing, which will make the pastry very hard and chewy. Now our pastry is ready. This is a pastry cutter. We are going to cut it with the pastry cutter, and we are going to place the pastry in the tart molds. I'm going to just clear the excessive amount of flour from here. So when you want to cut with the pastry cutter, first dust the pastry cutter very lightly with flour, place it on the rolled dough and just press it. You are not going to twist it like this. If you twist it, then the pastry shrinks while baking. So you just place it and press. That is how we are going to cut it. If needed, in between you can again dust it with the flour. Very gently you can remove the dough. These scrapings will be used later on. Now, to avoid the change of shape, do not lift the pastry directly, but dust your palette knife and just put it under the pastry very gently, and you can lift it, place it on your tart mold, and press it inside. If there is any excessive dough, you can just remove it like this. If you can see, we have not rolled the pastry very thick, because if you roll it very thick, it will take and unevenly, then the baking also is uneven. So that is why you have to make sure that the pastry is rolled out evenly with even thickness. See, since we have dusted it very well and we have checked it before lifting the pastry, we can easily pick up the pastry. But if you do not dust it and the pastry sticks to the tabletop or the surface, then it will be very difficult to lift the pastry. The pastry will lose its shape. So that is why it's very, very important that the dusting is done enough, but not too much of dusting. If you overdust, what happens? Now, if you overdust, all these scraping, the excessive flour will go in these scrapings, and then later on that will harden the pastry when we are going to mix the dough together. So that is why you have to be very, very careful while you are dusting it, that you do not overdust it, neither you underdust it. So we have not put any butter or any oil on the surface of the mold. The reason behind that is the pastry contains very high amount of butter. Okay, so it does not require any greasing or dusting of the mold. So we are directly putting the pastry in the mold and baking it directly at 175°C. We have already preheated the oven to the required temperature. So the temperature is already reached 175, and we will be baking the pastry at 175°C for about 15 to 20 minutes. Now all our tarts are ready in the mold. The next step is we are going to fill them with the jam. Now before that, see, jam is a very sweet filling, so we do not want to put too much of jam, and also you have to remember that the jam melts since it contains high amount of sugar. So we are going to put very less amount of jam in this, and that will not have much weight. So we are going to prick or dock this pastry. Pricking or docking is you make very tiny holes with the help of a fork, which will not allow, which will refrain the pastry from rising unevenly or bubbling it up, and we will get a exact shape of the tart mold. So docking or pricking means making very tiny holes in the pastry shell to ensure that the pastry does not rise unevenly. Now I'm going to fill these with jam. In the meantime, I'm just going to press this dough together, the scrapings, and keep them ready for the further use. You can fill the jam in a piping bag. You can take any jam. I have taken mixed fruit jam, and I'm going to put the jam in the tart mold. Very little jam, as I said, say about half a teaspoon. I am putting jam only in 4 tarts, and 2 I am going to bake blind. Blind baking means baking without filling. Now why am I baking these blinds? Because when you make these pastry cases, there are certain fillings which cannot be baked. For example, if you're using chocolate truffle or you're using fresh cream filling, then that cannot be baked in along with the tart mold. So you need to blind bake the tart shells, and after the tart shells are baked, you can fill the filling. Okay. Now these are tarts are ready, but I want to decorate them. I'm going to decorate them with pastry strips, the ones which are filled with jam. So I'm going to take the dough and roll it and cut very thin strips, same way. Using the dough scraper, just make sure that we are not rolling it very unevenly and in an uneven shape. You can dust it little bit. Once this is rolled, we are going to just trim off the sides. So approximately we are going to just see this side and cut the strip a little bigger than this. You don't cut very thick strips. You can dip your dough scraper in the flour if you want, if it is sticking. And after this we're going to stick them on the jam tart. This is called as lattice pattern. Lattice, L-A-T-T-I-C-E. Lattice is decorating with the thin pastry strips. So I'm going to take a strip, cut them, and when I'm placing them, I can decorate them any which ways I want, but you know, when you're sticking them, you just make sure that you start from one end and the excessive end from the other side can be cut off. You can make different patterns, whichever you like. But make sure you're not putting any excessive amount of pastry strips here. It is very difficult to cut it off after baking. It will start breaking, so make sure you don't do that. You cut it to exact size. I will require some more, so you can use your own imagination and decorate accordingly. So this, I'm going to put only 3 strips, kind of making a triangle here. Square. See, as I said, you can use your own imagination and decorate it differently. Now these will go for baking at 175 degrees, as I mentioned earlier, for 15 to 20 minutes. Okay, we have baked these jam tarts for about 15 to 20 minutes at 175 degrees. Now I'm going to demold them. So for this slightly warm. You can see that the jam is slightly liquidy, but it sets after a while because these are not meant to be served hot, so it is going to set after some time. And these are the ones which were blind baked. Now the blind baked tarts, I'm going to show you how to with the filling. So the filling that I'm going to use today is the chocolate truffle or ganache, which is a mixture of 2 parts of chocolate and 1 part of hot fresh cream. And then when you mix it, the chocolate melts and you have to allow it to set. After setting, it comes to the piping consistency. So I'm going to show you how to pipe out in these tart molds. You can use any fruit and fresh cream also to pipe out. If you want, you can decorate them with silver balls or a chocolate garnish. after demolding the tarts, you can directly place them in the plate or you can put them in a pepper cup. So I'm going to line them with pepper cup. It becomes easier to serve, and then you don't directly touch the tart when you're putting them in a paper cup and serving. So I'm just going to line them with paper cup. I'm going to sprinkle some silver balls on these, so which will make it look more attractive. And then them on a plate now. And the chocolate one in the center. This is how you can place them. Or if you take a plain plate, you can spread some jam on the plate, garnish, little bit of garnishing with the jam, and then you can place the tarts on it. I hope you've understood what I taught you today, and you will try the recipe at home and enjoy the delicious tarts. Today we are going to make butter cookies using creaming method. A word cookie means small cakes. The difference between a cookie and a cake is the moisture content. Cookies have less amount of moisture. The butter cookies are, as the name says, butter cookies. They are very buttery and very they have a melt in mouth texture, as well as they're very lightly sweetened cookies. So the ingredients that we are going to use today is 80 grams of butter. Butter gives a very rich flavor. It is a shortening. So we are going to use 80 grams of butter, and we are using icing sugar in it. The icing sugar contains very finely powdered sugar and corn flour in it. The corn flour acts as an anti-lumping agent. The sugar being hygroscopic in nature. Hygroscopic means it absorbs the moisture and it retains it, so it can form lumps very easily. So that is why we are going to the icing sugar is made with the corn flour. There is corn flour added in the icing sugar. So we are going to take 2 heaped tablespoons of icing sugar. The corn flour the reason behind using the icing sugar in these particular cookies is the corn flour in the icing sugar helps in retaining the shape of the cookies, because the starch it makes the cookies more drier. The starch in the corn flour makes the cookies a little drier. Now we are going to start creaming this. The creaming will ensure the mixing of both the ingredients together very well as it helps in incorporating the air. So icing sugar being very fine sugar, it it gets incorporated in the butter very easily. It mixes with the butter very easily and makes the mixture very smooth. Now when we are creaming, you always keep a kitchen cloth under the vessel so that the vessel does not slip, and you hold it tilted and keep on creaming it in one way direction. When we are creaming it in one way direction, it helps in incorporating the air bubbles. We always use a wooden spoon when we are working manually, because the wood has natural lines and these help in incorporating the air bubbles. While we cream the mixture, as you're noticing it is coming to the top of the vessel, so we always scrape it with the help of spatula every now and then and bring it down. Otherwise the bowl will get very greasy and it will be very difficult for you to work. So we always keep on scraping and putting the fat back in the bowl. Again, now we are going to cream it for some time till it becomes light and fluffy. The lightness and fluffiness comes because of the air incorporation. The creaming is a mechanical action where mechanically the air is incorporated. Since we have very less quantity of sugar, the sugar gets mixed with the butter very quickly and you get the creamy texture very fast. If you can see it, it has become smooth and light and creamy. We can, at this stage, we can start adding the flour. But before adding the flour, again, as I mentioned earlier, I'm going to scrape the bowl and put all the butter and sugar mixture inside to avoid the greasiness of the bowl. And so next ingredient that I'm going to start adding is the flour. Slowly you can start adding the flour and keep on mixing it. Do not add too much flour at a time. It will be very difficult for you to cream. So add little flour. The dough, the cookie dough will become harder if you add too much flour and do not cream it enough. So you just put little flour. Make sure that it is incorporated well. It is blended very well with the butter and the sugar. And then again we scrape the bowl. Put everything inside and then we are going to add some flour to it. We had taken 100 grams of flour, 80 grams of butter and 30 grams of icing sugar. So we keep on creaming it. These are one of the very delicious cookies, you can say, because of they're really very buttery and very rich in taste. Butter being animal fat, it has a very rich flavor. So the cookies obviously turn out to be very rich and very buttery. Again, we put little bit of flour. Now these cookies, they are tea time favorites. You can use them, you can have them actually any time of the day also, but mainly served with the high tea. As you can see, the mixture is getting thicker because we are adding flour and we are creaming it again and again, so it's going to get a little thicker, but it is going to be a piping consistency mixture. A smooth, thick paste which can be piped out very easily. So, as I told you earlier also, do not be in a hurry to add the flour very quickly. Make sure you're putting little flour and mixing it very well. Otherwise, the dough will get harder and we will not be able to pipe out the cookies very well. Do not forget to scrape the bowl every now and then, otherwise the bowl gets greasy, then the fat will, the butter will be on the wooden spoon and then on your hands, and then it becomes very difficult for you to work. See, it's getting more and more thicker. So again, see, remember it as a rule that every time you want to add the sugar or the flour in the mixture, we have to scrape the bowl and bring all the contents from the side to the center. That is very, very important. This is not only important for avoiding this greasiness and messiness, but also to ensure the even mixing of all the ingredients. That is why it's very important that we keep on scraping the bowl and keep on mixing it so that all the ingredients are thoroughly blended well. Can you see now it has become even more thicker? So Once you cream it a little bit, it's going to get a little more softer, and then we will put the last portion of the flour and cream it very, very well. Our scraping continues to ensure everything is in the center. So we are going to again cream it a little more before adding the last portion of the flour. As you can see that I am creaming only in one way direction. I have already explained it to you why we cream it in one way direction, so that the air gets incorporated. You cannot do it back and forth. The air will be lost. So now again I am going to scrape this and put the last portion of the flour in this, and again we will be creaming it. Remove everything from the wooden spoon as well. Make sure all the dough is in the center. And then the last portion of the flour. It is always better to hold the bowl little tilted when you are creaming. That makes your job a little easier, because if you hold it straight and try to cream, it may be a little difficult. So always hold the bowl a little tilted and cream the mixture very well. Now again the scraping, which is very important, because the dough is almost ready. So before we remove the dough, we are again going to scrape the whole mixture together and cream it up. If you do not cream while putting the flour properly, then as I said, you will not be able to pipe out the cookies well. Our cookie dough is ready. If you can see it, I'll just show it to you. Nice and soft cookie dough. Now the next step, we have already preheated the oven to 150 degrees Celsius. Now we are going to, these cookies go on a greased and a dusted tray. It's very important step. Greasing and dusting of the tray is very important. Greasing is when you take the melted fat or oil and with the brush you very lightly brush it on the tray, and then you put flour on it. That step is very important so that the cookies do not stick, as well as the greasing and dusting ensures that the cookies are not spread too much. Our mixture is ready. We will add some vanilla essence to it, about 1/4 teaspoon of vanilla essence. This can be added during creaming of sugar and butter also. So since we've added the essence, now I'm going to mix it a little more to ensure that the essence is blended well in the mixture. And now our mixture is ready. One last time. After this, since these are piped cookies, I'm going to put this mixture in a piping bag fitted with a large star nozzle. So we can get a beautiful design with the star nozzle. Before putting the mixture, you scrape everything off the wooden spoon, collect the entire cookie dough in one side, and then hold your piping bag and place it in the piping bag. You can take the remaining mixture as well and scrape off everything. Hold the piping bag and press it so that the entire mixture goes down. Now, as I said, we have to use a greased and dusted tray. So greasing means giving a thin coating of melted fat. This is melted fat, or you can even take oil. Always use a pastry brush. Dip it in the fat very well and remove the excess fat from the brush and give a very thin layer of fat on the tray. Again you dip it and remove the excessive amount of fat, just to ensure that everything is coated. Now we will brush it this way. After that, you take refined flour and put plenty of flour on the tray. Hold the tray tilted and make sure the entire surface is coated very well. Since we have coated it with the fat, we'll have a thin layer of flour on the surface of the tray. You can remove the excessive amount of flour. If you give a very thick coating of fat, then it will take up a lot of flour, and that will have a layer of this dry flour and fat at the bottom of the cookie. So you should always grease and dust very lightly. Now, to remove the excessive amount of flour, I'm just going to and remove the excessive amount of flour. You can see that the tray has a very thin coating. I'm going to clear the table. Always remember, your workstation has to be absolutely clean when you're working in the bakery, or for that matter anywhere. Now we're going to start piping out the cookies. So you take the piping bag and bring everything down. You can use your spatula, or you can even use your dough scraper to bring the mixture down, which is stuck on the top of the piping bag. Take your tray. First, we are going to make a rosette. So for making the rosette, you hold the piping bag in 90-degree angle and you make a very closed circle and bring it to the center. This is called as a rosette, a closed circle, and in the end you bring it to the center and stop pressing it. And the next shape that we are going to do is the shell. So I'm going to bring all the mixture down, because when you're pressing, part of the mixture may go a little up. Let us pipe one more rosette and then we'll pipe out the shell. Okay. Now for piping out the shell, you hold your piping bag in 45-degree angle and do not completely touch it to the tray. You keep pressing and then you just stop pressing and pull it backward. That's the shell. Now in the end, when you have very little mixture, first you pull everything down and then you can press it with your thumb and pipe out a cookie. If there is still more, you can still pipe it out like that. This is how you pipe out the butter cookies. Just to make them look a little more attractive on the rosette, we are going to put a dot of jam. So in the center, just a tiny dot of jam will be put. We are not going to put it on these. These are baked at 150 degrees Celsius, which is comparatively a little lower temperature. If you bake them at higher temperature, since these cookies contain a lot of butter, the cookies can melt and they can become flat. They'll lose their shape basically. So that is why you bake them at a very low temperature, and it will take about 20 to 25 minutes to get baked. The cookies are ready now. You don't have to bake them to a very dark color, and I'm going to transfer these cookies on a cooling rack, and then we'll start garnishing. You can use a palette knife to transfer them, or you can pick up with hands also. That is absolutely fine, with whichever way you're comfortable with. As you can see, I have placed a tray under the cooling rack, because when I garnish, the excessive amount of sugar and chocolate that can, instead of letting it drop on the table, it can get collected in the tray. So we already have jam on these. Now these butter cookies can also be dipped in chocolate. So I'm going to dip half of the cookie in chocolate, and some of them I will sprinkle the roasted almonds on it, and on some I'm going to put the sprinkles. So you just dip the cookie directly. This is melted chocolate. You can melt it in microwave. Remove the excess chocolate and place it on the rack, so that if there is any excessive amount of chocolate, that can drip down. If you want, you can coat the entire cookie also with chocolate, that is up to you. But let it set completely before you pack them. Now, on 4 of these, I'm going to just sprinkle some nuts. You can take any nuts you want. As the chocolate sets, these nuts will also get stuck to the chocolate. And these we will dip and put some sprinkles on them. Chocolate will take a little time to set. If you are in a hurry, you can just put them for 5 minutes in the refrigerator, or in front of the AC, so that it sets faster. And the ones which are only with the jam, we will dust them using the icing sugar. So I'm going to just take some icing sugar on a tea strainer and very gently I will dust them with the icing sugar. You don't overdust it, don't completely cover it, very gently. You can also, if you want, you can also sandwich these. Instead of dipping, you can put some buttercream or some ganache and you can stick them together and sandwich them also. So whichever way you want to serve it, there are it is up to you how you want to serve them. The simplest way is you just dust them with icing sugar, coat them with chocolate and some sprinkles and nuts, or you can sandwich them. So now I'm going to transfer them in a plate. This is some melted ganache. Ganache is a mixture of 2 parts of chocolate and 1 part of hot cream. Just a simple drag of it, and I'll be placing my cookies in that. Just wipe it off, and this is how the cookies are ready.